Hi everyone, it's Tracy Matthews, and I'm here today with Sara Pocius of C Pony Jewelry to talk about her experience with Marie Forleo's B-School. So before we get started, I'm really excited to have you here, Sara. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yay! So why don't you tell me a little bit about C Pony and kind of where you are today in your business?
Well, I am a graphic designer turned jewelry designer.
Yes.
So I've kind of created this line of jewelry that really is all the things that light me up. I've been able to meld everything together from my previous life as an art director
Yes.
to my new life as a jewelry designer. And my current line is basically based on the concept of taking familiar forms, so like graphic shapes and animals, and reimagining them as a single line of jewelry. And I have one on today. And I'm
I love the peacock.
Yeah, it's my little peacock. This is my prototype. I'm very excited about it. But I'm doing eco-friendly sterling silver and really cool 3D printed jewelry right now. So
awesome. You know, it's been really fun to see you evolve because I had the opportunity to talk to you right when you were in this transition phase and like moving into this whole new direction. So it's so great to see how watch you for the past year and see how your collection just evolved. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just getting started now. Like the past
You're ready. You're ready to go.
I'm ready to go. But the past year has been kind of ramping up, and now it's time.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about what your business was like or where you were before you decided to take B-School?
A year ago, I was doing all handmade jewelry. So really, I mean, kind of the traditional basics. I was doing beading and wire wrapping, taking metalsmithing classes. I had just gotten picked up to sell on Overstock.com, so I was really excited about that, and I felt like I was at that time really getting ready to go and really be a jewelry designer. Then I found B-School, and watching the free videos from Marie, I really started rethinking what I was doing, and if handmade was really the right route for me.
Awesome. So cool. So can you tell me a little bit about what's changed in your business and in your life since you've taken B-School?
B-School really created a mind shift is the only way I can really describe it. So I felt like when I started doing jewelry design, I went to the traditional toolbox that probably so many designers do. And you're sitting there and you're like, okay, what can I make? I have beads, I have wire, I have metal.
Right.
And I was looking to expand upon that and create a business using those tools. But then going through the modules in B-School, it really created a whole shift in my thinking. I started looking at like, how can I make this business the business for me? How can I make jewelry design something that is not just taking all these pieces that already exist and recreating something?
Right.
So that's when I pulled in my experience with computer design. I'm super comfortable designing on the computer. I've been doing it for over a decade. Right. And I love technology. So when I discovered 3D printing and laser cutting, I'm like, how can I put all these things together and create jewelry using these tools?
Right.
And that's when I scrapped my entire handmade business and started over. So
yeah, it's very what you're doing now. I mean, because I had the opportunity to see what you were doing before. What you're doing now is so different than what you're doing before. It's so cool to see you kind of like find your voice and your niche as a designer. It's awesome.
Yeah, and it feels much more natural. Before it was always like, okay, I can do this. I can make this. I can create stuff. And now I'm like, oh my goodness, what else can I create? What other crazy technology or technique can I bring into this? So it's a lot of fun.
It sounds like you were like really creatively inspired in a lot of ways.
So yes, for sure.
Absolutely.
That was my biggest takeaway from B-School was the thinking. Because beforehand you're like, okay, I think I have an idea of where I want my business to go. But when you start going through the exercises, I had no idea that I had all these ideas.
Yes. Right.
That I just
had. So it's almost like you got a lot of clarity and creativity from going through it. That's awesome. So I'm curious just to hear a little bit more about some of the specific results and more of the takeaways that you had from B-School. Like, what have you implemented into your business so far to help it grow?
So one of the biggest things was my website. And this is,
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that I was a 9 to 5 website builder when I started B-School. And I had a very pretty functional website to sell my jewelry on. But when I started going through and learning all these things that I should be doing to be collecting leads and SEO and really building this premium brand that I wanted, my website was not flexible enough at all. It was like, oh, I should know better because this is what I do for a living.
Yeah.
But so in the middle of scrapping all my designs, I also scrapped my entire website and started from scratch. And so now I have a really solid WordPress site that has all kinds of really cool bells and whistles that I never would have even thought to implement. So I would say that was my biggest like technical takeaway from B-School is my website.
Awesome.
It's a never-ending, growing project of mine. I have a to-do list like 10 other things I want to implement, but if I had stuck with what I had before, it wouldn't be possible. So
that's so great. No, I love hearing that because when I took B-School the first time, I mean, I changed my website a couple times in the last few years, but this last time I feel like I really did it the right way, but all based on the B-School principles, and my list is always growing and all of that stuff. So it's great. So I'm curious, like from a product perspective, is there anything else that like you think specifically really helped your business?
I definitely, the whole idea of building a premium brand and not being afraid to charge a premium price. So that was the other thing I really struggled with, and I know we had talked about this the first few times we talked, is when you're making jewelry that is not made out of anything, considered precious or extra special, you kind of reach a price point. You can only charge so much. So when I was able to kind of bring in all this other technology and create these new pieces, I can build a premium brand and feel good about it and not feel like I'm, faking it or overcharging. Like, I've created these really cool pieces of jewelry and I can charge a premium price for them. And kind of becoming okay with that as a business owner and being proud of what I'm making was another big takeaway.
We call that leveling up. You leveled up your business and your brand.
Yeah, and I don't feel bad about it. Like, I know a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't want to charge too much. And it's like, well, if you're making a really cool product and you've kind of honed in on this super special thing that only you can do, it's just natural to.
Yeah.
I have a big announcement that I can't say quite yet, but I have a partnership with a national brand for commissioned a piece of my jewelry. So it's really exciting. It was my first huge order, and there's a lot of stress that goes along with that for production and making sure everything's perfect. And what I'm really happy about is, this goes back to B-School, is that now I have this really great website waiting. So as soon as this launches, I will be there to collect email leads and be able to sell things, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a huge step for my business.
That is so amazing. And one of the things that Marie always talks about is sort of like wooing the bigwigs, or I'm not exactly sure if that's the correct terminology, but I think it's so impressive that you're just really a startup brand, and you've been able to create this partnership with a national brand. I mean, we don't know who it is yet, but that's pretty incredible.
So yeah,
that they're paying attention to you.
It feels surreal. It almost feels
awesome.
Feels fake. And then I see all of it sitting there, and I got the order from FedEx, and I was like, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm really in business now. Like, that was like this turning point where it was like every few months something happens where I'm like, this is it. I'm really killing it, and then something else happens, and I'm like, this is even better. So
I love it. I love it. Oh my God, that's so great. That's amazing. Congratulations, by the way.
I can't wait to announce it. I'm dying to announce it, but they're taking forever to announce it on their site, so I can't say anything yet.
I know, you're going to have to wait. We'll be waiting patiently in the wings. So I wanted to ask you, would you recommend B-School to other jewelry designers? And if so, why?
Definitely. I think, and we didn't even touch on this, about the community aspect of B-School.
Right.
I would say that was outside of, I obviously had this huge change in my brand that I'm not sure if everybody experiences something quite that drastic. But the sense of community that's there, there's fellow jewelry designers, so you can talk with people about jewelry specific things, but then there's also this great group of e-tailers / retailers who have been, so helpful in all like the nitty gritty stuff, like inventory and building a shopping cart that works, because building a website for a service-based business is very different than a product-based business. So there's this subgroup of people who are just, so supportive, and that group has been active, consistently since B-School ended in the summer, and we're all getting ready to ramp up for the next round. So that's great. And also going and talking about the mind shift that I had, like, I think that there are probably a lot of designers who might feel like they were in a similar spot than me. Like, they really love designing, and they're using the only thing they think is available.
Right.
But when you start going through this self-exploration, you might discover something that you never even thought of, a way to incorporate something really unique and cool and create something that stands out and isn't just, the same thing that's already being done. So.
Wow. Yeah, it's true. It's really important to be able to develop your own signature kind of look and stuff. And it's great that you got so inspired by, everything that you've learned.
So yeah, I'm like an entrepreneur. I can't even say that word. Entrepreneurial junkie.
I'm an entrepreneurial junkie too.
Like the practical things we talked about, like I think everybody feels like, oh, I can research everything. I can find all this information online. But I tell you, if you just watching like the free videos that Marie puts out, like there's something about them that's so different, and that's why I joined. It hooked me. I was like, I'm going to learn way more in watching a 5-minute video than spending 2 hours Googling around and trying to figure something out.
So did you find that having all the information packaged into really concise teaching lessons really helped you kind of like implement faster, or what else did that do for you?
I think it was, and I had a unique experience because I come from a marketing background and the web design background, so there was a lot of stuff I already knew. So it was really easy. I loved how it was organized, because I could be like, okay, I know a lot about this, but I really don't know a lot about this topic over here. So I could focus in on the stuff that I really wanted to learn, and then go back and look at all the stuff in the other modules that I may already have had like some background in. But like another thing Marie says is like, there's always something to learn. And even if you think you know everything about one topic, there's, you can always put a different learning spin on it. So
absolutely. Absolutely. So I wanted to ask you, is there anything else that you'd like to add that you want to share today?
I think it's kind of crazy. I don't know if you realize this, but I found B-School through you, because you posted a video that you did with Marie, and then I found B-School, and so you're the reason for all this change that I had, because I could not have found B-School if I hadn't have found you.
Well, I'm so glad that you found me.
I think it's pretty amazing, like the change that I've had in 1 year, and then to feel like, even though I've had so much change, I feel like I'm just getting started. So I imagine next year things are going to be so completely different.
I can't wait to talk to you. I will be talking to you like as this goes along, because you're part of the Flourish and Thrive Academy community as well. But just to see like almost take like a measure of like where you are now, to see like what happens next year. You probably won't be working your day job anymore.
I hope not. I'm getting really close, so I won't have enough time to do it pretty soon. So
that is like so amazing to hear. I love hearing that. I do happy dances every time I hear someone quitting their day job, because like, what better than to do exactly what you love full time and to make money doing it, to cut yourself a paycheck. It's awesome.
I know. When I got the one giant order that I've had, and I was like, wow, if I could do this, multiple times, that would be amazing. Like you don't think that you can actually get a good, well, not that, obviously it's possible to get a good paycheck being a jewelry designer, but when it's you and it's happening to you, it's exciting.
It's incredible. Well, I just want to thank you again so much, Sarah, for being here with us today. If you want to check out Sarah's jewelry, you can check out, is it cpony.com?
Cpony Studio.
cponystudio.com. And thank you so much for sharing your experience about B-School. It's awesome.
Yes, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Of course, my pleasure.